Hello and welcome to my channel, the place where I take you on RV tours, campground tours, to hiking destinations, and so much more. Today's video is a DIY for window coverings. Now first I want to show you the window covering that came with my RV. This is a 2022 Thor Sanctuary, and as you can see there's this not so very attractive valance on top, which also sticks out a bit from the wall. Has this roller blind that doesn't always stay down when you want it to and doesn't always go up when you want it to also. On top of that, it doesn't actually provide pretty good blackout coverage because light still can be seen through the underside and through the sides. Now, driving down the road one day, this valance and roller shade from this passenger side just came tumbling down, so I don't really want to have this reinstalled, so I am just going to make my own window coverings. Now I've already made one for this side of the RV, and this is the finished product. So it's just clipped in place, and you just unclip it, rolls right down and adheres to the magnets. So I'm going to show you how to make this window covering, and best of all, it's a no-sew project. So let's get started. Here's a look at the items that you'll need for this DIY window covering project. Now first and foremost, you're going to need some fabric. So you can go ahead and purchase a curtain panel, which I did. This one is a blackout panel, and it has a thermal backing, which will help with insulation. So doing it this way, you know exactly the kind of fabric that you're getting. You're gonna need some wood trim. I got this at Home Depot and I just had it cut to size that I needed. Some Velcro, some glue. So I have some fabric glue and some Gorilla Craft and super glue, some strapping, a couple of parachute buckles, some magnets, a lighter, pen, scissors, tape measure, something you can use as a straight edge, and something to get out all those wrinkles or folds in your fabric, such as an iron or a steamer. So let's get to it. Okay, so I've laid my fabric out, and you can see the folds have created quite a few wrinkles, so I'm gonna have to get this all flattened out so that the measurements are more precise, and just showing you what the insulated backing looks like if you're interested in purchasing this particular curtain panel instead of choosing your own fabric. All right, so I'm going to get to getting these folds flattened. Okay, so I've got all the wrinkles and folds ironed out so it's nice and smooth. Now before you cut your fabric, you're going to want to measure your window. Now my window measures 32 length by 17 height. So you're going to want to add 4 inches on each side of your window to that measurement, and you're going to want to add 2 inches on both the top and the bottom. Now this accommodates the folding over for the pockets as well as inserting those magnets. Now, so my window is 32 by 17 as I already stated, so my final measurement is going to be 40 by 42 because you're going to take that measurement for your height and multiply it by 2 so that you can fold over your fabric. So let's get started. So I'm going to get started marking my measurements. So I'm going to start with the 40. I'm just going to mark that with my pen. So I'm going to go up the fabric and just keep marking my 40. And my other measurement is 42, and this panel is actually at 42, so I don't need to make any additional cuts there. So now I'm going to take my straight edge and put it up against those markings for my measurements and draw a line. Okay, so now that I've got my line drawn through all my marked areas, I'm going to grab my scissors and cut the fabric. Okay, so I've got my fabric cut to the measurements I want, and I'm just gonna flip it over and show you that we are going to be folding this over, like I told you earlier, and that's why we had to do our height measurement times 2. So, opening this up, now along the sides, I'm going to measure 2 inches on each side, fold it over. I'm gonna take the iron and iron that down to create a nice seam, and this is where the magnets are gonna go. So I'm gonna get started on that. So I've folded over the fabric, and as you can see, 2 inches on each side. So they've been folded over and ironed down flat, creating that crease, so that now I have pockets for my magnets, which are going to go on the inside. Now I'm going to use 2 on each side and 4 on the top. Now we're only working with half of our fabric panel because this is going to be flipped over. So the magnets only go on half of your panel, and if you get the same magnets that I have, you're going to want to separate them, so you're only putting half of that magnet in there and the other part goes on the wall around your window. So I've pulled my magnets apart, and what I'm going to do next is place the magnets inside that pocket. Now make sure that your magnets are facing the right way. So I'm going to put that on in, and what I'm going to do is glue them down using the Gorilla glue, and I'm going to put glue in here all along, all around the magnet, so that they are securely in place. Now I'm using 2 magnets on each side, and you might want to use more if your window's bigger, and I am just evenly spacing them apart. I've glued the magnets in place, so there's glue all along the edges. I've put the piece of wooden trim in the center into the pocket and glued all the way down. So I'm going to show you what it looks like folded over. So this is giving you an idea of what it's going to look like when it's finished. So right now I'm going to let the glue dry before I move forward with putting the other magnets along the edge of the trim. Next, I've glued down 4 of the magnets along the wood trim, evenly spaced apart, and now I'm going to put glue along the trim and the edges all the way around so that I can flip this part over and have that glued into place. Okay, so I've put the glue down along the edges of the fabric and along the trim piece. I've already gone and put the Velcro strip with the sticky backing on the top part of the curtain area. So these are the magnets that are going to be adhered to the wall part around the window, and I'm just showing you how well that sticks. You can see it has a good magnetic. And so now I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to install it in the morning. All right, so I've let this dry overnight. I've gone ahead and attached that adhesive backing Velcro strip on top, and I've cut 9-inch strips of that strapping so that the ends don't fray. I took a lighter and just heated up the ends. Then I put the buckle on each end. So now let's go install it in the van. So I'm back in the van, and now before I can install that window covering, I need to remove the existing valance and shade. It's being held in place with 4 brackets, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. So first I'm going to remove the bottom ones, which I've already pretty much finished removing them. So you can see like now I can pull it back and it's easier to access the top ones. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Now that I've got all the screws out, I can remove this valance and shade. And now you can see the 4 brackets. So next, I'm just going to go ahead and remove those brackets. Now that I've removed the valance and shade, I can see that there's some holes in the wall. So what I'm going to do is take some pieces of fabric that I've already cut that match the color of the wall, and I'm just going to glue those into place. Okay, so I've got the holes covered with my little strips of fabric. So now I'm going to go and install the curtain panel. Now you want to make sure before you do that that the magnets are lined up perfectly. The one on the outside is lined up perfectly with the one that's been glued onto the inside, so that it'll be in the right place once you hang it. Now before you take this backing off, you're going to want to make sure it's exactly where you want it to be, equal distance on the window on both sides and top and bottom. Okay, so I'm just finishing up, making sure that's adhered in place on top. Now you might need to have some help getting it just in the right place that you want it to be. So next, I'm going to remove the backing from the magnet and stick those into place. Now, if your magnets don't stick properly, you might want to use a little glue. Okay, so I've got the magnets secured in place and I'm going to give it a chance to adhere to the wall. Now, to install the strapping, you can either attach it to your shade before you put it onto the wall, or you can just peel back a bit of it and install it halfway onto that backing. And I'm going to do it for the other side. All right, so this is what the finished window covering looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and roll it up. So I'm just going to pull it apart from the magnets, clip it into place on top, and that's what it looks like rolled up. Now, if you don't like the look of the magnets that you've used, the way they're just exposed like that, you can take some more of that extra fabric that you have and cover your magnets, and I've done that to the other side. Okay, now I'm going to put the window covering down, so I'm just going to unbuckle it and let it go. And it snaps right into place and covers the window nicely. And there's the finished product. So I hope you enjoyed this DIY of window coverings for your RV. Thank you so much for joining me, and please subscribe to my channel and join me for many more videos. Bye for now.